What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Trev here today to bring you a One Piece chapter 1049 discussion. This is basically going to be my Kaido video. I know I haven't been here in a while. I'm sorry for that. I've just been kind of taking the chapters in as they go and not reacting to them. I just think that's better for the overall pacing of the story, for me personally. And it really allows me to get into the story. And I think I'm really only going to do videos on like super major stuff. Obviously, I didn't do one on Luffy's awakening or anything like that. But I think with the end of the fight, and this is definitely the end of the fight. I don't understand how people think that this isn't the end of the fight. Um, we got so many signs. Kaido just straight up being tucked into the earth, straight up folded, horn broken, spewing blood, eyes white. As he reminisces about a conversation he had with King regarding his own defeat. Onigashima's landed safely. Everyone's fine. The Flower Capital's saved. The Lanterns have launched. And the Lanterns also parallel the defeat of Orochi last chapter. I don't understand how people think Kaido's not done here. When he very, very clearly is, in my opinion. Like, honestly, not to be inflammatory, but that just seems like a lack of basic reading comprehension at that point. If you don't think Kaido's done, um, that being said, in talking about Kaido, I see a lot of people that are disappointed with this chapter. It's definitely something, that's for sure. Um, and you're gonna have to forgive me. This is kind of off the cuff here, but Kaido, he should have gotten more. That flashback was not great, um, and I think that he might get more for sure. But as of right now, he definitely it was just very rushed. It was very rushed. Overall, the chapter was very messy. It was a very messy chapter. A lot of things weren't clear, just in terms of like the fight choreography, um, just exactly what was happening, things that were rushed, right? Like Momo landed Onigashima in 4 panels, off screen. Honestly, he landed it off screen. Um, and yeah, the dragon at the end that's exhausted on the ground. That's Momo. That's not Kaido. Kaido is currently making his way, taking a journey to the center of the earth. He is definitely rocked. Definitely rocked. And about that final clash, right? About that punch. Oh, people think that Oda said that he wouldn't have Luffy beat Kaido with a strong punch. Oda, number one, said this in 2016. It has been six years since that quote was said. A man's allowed to change his mind. Number two, he said that he didn't want Kaido to lose just because Luffy's punch is strong. And clearly we've gotten more than just he punches strong. He's gotten like super advanced armament. He's gotten advanced conquerors. He's gotten awakening. Like, it's not just like visually it is a big punch, and that is a little underwhelming. But it's not just a punch, and that's like it's clearly not what Oda meant. Because Luffy is always going to punch people or kick people or do whatever. He doesn't use weapons, so like that's what it's going to be. Do I think Oda should have done something a bit more creative for the final move? Sure, sure. But you act like Oda wasn't creative this whole fight, as if we didn't get Looney Tunes Luffy for like what 4 chapters, 4 or 5 chapters. So there's that. Um, Rocks. There's a lot going on with Kaido. Like, clearly his formative years are in the Rocks Pirates. So I don't think we're gonna get a lot there, just because it's just not time yet. It's not time for Rocks. And I think Kaido's backstory suffers a little bit, but we've also gotten so much of that in between time, right? You know, people are like, oh, it's skipped like 40 something years or like 20 something years, but we've gotten a lot of that time. We've gotten him versus Moria. We've gotten him versus Odin. We've gotten Kaido coming to Wano and the result of that. What we haven't gotten is, exactly why he came to the conclusion that he's not Joy Boy and that he wants to be, or that the person who beats him will be Joy Boy. And I think that we'll get that fairly soon. I don't think that O's gonna leave that as is for sure. But I still do think that the fight is over. I've heard people say that, oh, the citizens need to see it. I don't think the citizens need to see anything. The idea of the people of whatever countries Luffy of whatever country Luffy is saving has to watch him fight is usually when Luffy has to prove something to the people, and he doesn't here in Alabasta. Right, even though they didn't see him fight, um, that was more focused on stopping the war, stopping the nuke going off. And that was Luffy kind of having to prove himself to Crocodile, right? So they didn't fight in front of the people because the people didn't need to see it. The only people that potentially saw it are Cobra and Robin, right? Um, the reason people saw it in Dressrosa is because Doflamingo is a hero to the people. That was Luffy basically fighting for his case and exposing Doflamingo as the evil person that he is. And then he got the people on his side, and ultimately that ended up with the entire country of Dressrosa playing keep away with Luffy, um, until he regained his haki. Right? That was Luffy trying to prove something. Here in Wano, nothing needs to be proved to the people. Um, they are firmly on board with the idea that Oda, Jesus Christ, that Orochi and Kaido are evil. They write it on lanterns. They pray for their deaths every year, and they don't give up hope on that either. So they don't need to be uplifted. They don't need to be inspired. They are inspired by their horrible lives day by day to wish for the deaths of these two tyrants. And so I don't think that they need to see that action happen. Would it be cool? Of course, right? There are many things in Wano, especially with this raid, when it comes to lining up the potential that I think have fallen short. The people like this needs to happen, or like I want this to happen because it would be great, and it would be great, but that doesn't mean it needs to happen, right? You don't write One Piece, Oda does. If that's not what he's going to do, then that's not what he's going to do. And I think at some point we have to take a step back and realize that this is a man and not a god, and he will do what he wants to do, and you're not going to like it all the time. You're not. Am I disappointed with the end of this fight? No, no, I'm not. I think it's very poetic. Kaido was introduced falling from an island, um, slamming into the earth, making a Kaido-shaped hole, and coming out lamenting that basically not even he can defeat himself, right? And then we get that mirrored here with Kaido falling from an island, slamming into the earth, making a Kaido-shaped hole, except this time he's reflecting on his defeat because it finally happened. Again, I think everything points to his defeat. Narratively, it just doesn't make sense that the fight drags on. People are like, oh, what about his awakening? Right? Luffy showcased his. Kaido didn't showcase his. Kid and Law showcased theirs. It was never explicitly stated that Big Mom had it. You know, she's not saving it for Luffy, right? Like this was her staking her claim at the same time, trying to get one over on the new generation. Why would she save her awakening? Right? She either did it and it wasn't explicitly stated, in which case awakenings don't need to be explicitly stated, or she didn't have it. Simple as that. And it's the same here. I either think Kaido doesn't have an awakening, or Zone Awakenings just aren't that visually appealing. They're not visually crazy. It's just enhanced stamina, enhanced durability. Simple, you know. Occam's razor, simplest solution is probably the correct one, right? Just like the Jailer Beasts, it's just there, and that's it. Addressing the Kaido hasn't used all of his Wisdom King attacks yet. Um, I ended up looking that up, or two things on that, right? Is just because there are references to something doesn't mean you have to take the references all the way. You don't have to do that. It doesn't matter in terms of storytelling. It's just a reference, right? So there's an Ame no Habakiri and there's a Yamato no Orochi, but that doesn't mean that the Ame no Habakiri has to be used to kill Yamato no Orochi. It doesn't, right? There's no Susanoo, right? Or is it Jiraiya that kills Yamato no Orochi? Just real quick. Yeah, Susanoo. Okay, I was right. So yeah, um, there's no Susanoo, right? We don't have it, and that's the person who slays Yamato no Orochi, right? But just because it's just because Oda puts something into the story doesn't mean he has to take the whole thing all the way, right? We get bits of the Momotaro tale. We don't get the whole thing. Um, and this is the same thing with Kaido's Wisdom King attacks. He he used four of them, four out of the five Wisdom Kings for his attacks, and in my opinion, the only one that's left is what, Akala, right? And Akala is known as the immovable one. So, in my opinion, Kaido himself is Akala, right? Each of his four attacks are references to the four other gods who represent the four directions, right? And then Akala is the center. So you can think of Kaido as the center from which all these attacks come, right? So all those are directions, and Kaido is the immovable center. And that, in my opinion, completes the whole reference anyway, right? There are various ways to do this. I think a lot of what this arc is, and even though I think some aspects of this arc are disappointing, some aspects are dragged out, the pacing of this arc is not good. It's not good. It's way better on a reread. Again, I've said this in like all of my videos in the past. If you haven't given Wano a reread, especially now, right now that the fight's over, just give it a reread. It reads way better, way better. The only thing that won't read well is the many deaths of Orochi. The many deaths of Kurozumi Orochi. Those don't read well. He's a waste of space. He's a waste of panels. He's a wasted character. He high key makes me like Spandam, and that's impressive to say the least. But in terms of Kaido, if this is all we get, I think it played out well. Could it have played out better? Most definitely. Most definitely. Do I think it's disappointing? No, I don't think it's disappointing. I do think, however, that it's not over. It's not over. The fight is over, but I don't think Kaido is done yet. I don't know how he's going to get out of that hole. I really don't. Oh, I really don't. But because he's planted, he is planted firmly. Again, in case you didn't see it, that is not Kaido like falling through space, falling through the air. That's Kaido in the dirt, through bedrock, just drilling. It looks like he's gaining speed, right? Horn's broken. Man is done, right? That's a permanent character change, like in his design. Like the fight is over. He's not going awakening with a broken horn, right? That fight is done. This is Oda going, like, especially when like nothing could make a scratch on Kaido before, and now he's lost an entire horn. The fight's over. The fight's over. Um, the raid obviously didn't fail. Momo, like, I don't understand how people are like the raids can still fail. Kaido's plan was to drop Onigashima on the flower capital. He clearly cannot do that anymore. Clearly, Onigashima is on the ground. He's not going to get up and make new flame clouds. He barely had stamina to sustain the ones that he made. He's not making new ones, lifting it, and then dropping it again. That's not happening. And it's like people turn off their brains for the narrative that they want to make instead of what's presented on the page. Right? I am 99% sure that we will get a victor card next chapter. Just because every other fight had it. But even if we don't get it, which would be weird, it's very clear that the fight is over. It's over. Honestly, I just made this video because a lot of people are huffing so much copium on it. So much copium. And yeah, I know you want Wano to go on for like 50 more chapters. What about Act 3? End of Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, all of that. Listen, the arc didn't turn out how a lot of people wanted it to. A lot of people came up with a lot of good ideas. And I think part of that is because the arc has just gone on for so long that so many people can have time to sit back and think about how exactly all this stuff would fit together and how they would want Wano to end. And we've come together as a whole community to discuss that, and we've cherry picked the best ideas, and then we've gone, if Oda doesn't do this, the arc's trash. And so many people forget that Oda is a guy. He's one guy writing the series weekly, basically nonstop. And do I think that he deserves to be held to a higher standard because of his past storytelling? Yes. Do I think that the arc dragged on? Most. Definitely. This arc needs to be done. This arc needs to be wrapped up immediately. But at the same time, I think he did a great job with the mess that the arc kind of became, especially at the end. Is it the best arc in One Piece? No. No, it's not the best. Is it my favorite? Actually. But that's because I'm a huge Big Mom stan. I'm a huge Kaido stan. I love the Yonko. I love the Yonko. So just anything to do with two of them at once, that was always going to be hype for me, right? Seeing the Supernova all fight against Kaido and Big Mom is always going to be great. Is always going to be great. The Little Monsters panel when Kaido's like, "Oh, look at these little monsters," and it's just Kid covered in metal, Luffy, Gear 4 Bound Man, and Law doing tact with all the stalactites coming down. That's always going to be hype for me. Roof Piece is always going to be hype. Kaido is always going to be hype. I don't understand how people think that he hasn't done enough. Like he hasn't fought. Like he wasn't ambushed by the Scabbards. Fought a mink army. Fought the strongest pirates of this generation. Fought Luffy round 1. Fought Yamato. Fought Luffy round 2. And immediately went down onto the live floor to, run hands. And then came back and fought Gear 5th Luffy, who it took awakening to get Luffy to the point where he could tango with Kaido on a level where like Kaido was feeling anything. The man is a monster. The man has put in so much work. It is Like he's put in so much work that is unbelievable to think that he has anything else in the bag. If he has anything else, he literally cannot be stopped. As someone wrote in a comment I read on Reddit, if Kaido awakens, not even Oda can beat him. Simple, simple. If we haven't already seen Kaido's awakening and he gets out of that hole and he awakens, narratively it doesn't make sense because he's literally already thinking about his own defeat. Already. That's what that last panel was. That's what that last thought bubble was where he's talking to King. Is he admits his own defeat. Clearly. But so like narratively it doesn't make sense. There's nothing that can stop Kaido at this point because Luffy's out, Zoro's out. Not like Zoro could stop Kaido anyway, but Luffy's out, and it's literally just him. It's literally just him. So like, who's gonna stop Kaido? He's not going to let them live. Clearly, he's not going to let them live. So that's it. You know, the raid has succeeded because they've stopped Kaido's plan. They literally stopped Kaido's whole plan. His whole plan was to put Onigashima onto the Flower Capital, and that was the start of the entirety of his plan. The entirety of it, of what he had, and they just stopped that. They just stopped that. So the raid's a success, right there. 2 conditions for the raid failing. Kaido wins. Onigashima lands on the Flower Capital. Onigashima has landed safely outside the Flower Capital. Kaido's in a hole. Raid's over. Is it disappointing? I can definitely see why people would think it is disappointing. Do I think it's disappointing? No. No. Honestly, I think that this fight could have been shorter. Or if Oda wanted to use Awakening, I think Oda could have used the space that he had better. That's what could have happened. Oda could have used the space that he had better, and that'd be that. But I could sit here all day and go, I think you should have done this. I think you should have done this. I'm a reader. I'm not a writer. I mean, I am a writer, but I'm not the writer of One Piece, right? So, what do I think should happen next? I don't know. I stopped predicting One Piece a long time ago. I think it's a fruitless endeavor. Like this whole arc has shown us that it's a lesson in futility to predict what's going to happen when it comes to One Piece. But I don't want a Katakuri victory, right? Oh, and that's another thing. This happens every arc. This happens every arc, right? I was shocked to learn because I wasn't really into the One Piece community. I've been reading the story for ages. I've been reading the story for about 10 years or so now, but like since Punk Hazard, but and as a kid, well before that, but I fell off. But when it comes to the actual the actuality of like how disappointing this is, think back to Katakuri. Think back to how people love Katakuri, and they love the Katakuri fight. I was shocked to learn that, because I read it when it was coming out, but I wasn't plugged in. People did not like the way that fight ended. I was so shocked. Katakuri gave Luffy the dub. I didn't like that part. Obviously, that didn't shock me. That rubbed me the wrong way because clearly Katakuri won. But I didn't even think about it. Luffy took like fatal damage. He took fatal damage. And he was fine. He was instantly fine. Right? Consequences have stopped being a real thing in One Piece for a while. Especially when it comes to Luffy. And I can see why people don't like that fight, right? Luffy, like the stakes should have been this, the stakes should have been that. Luffy should have, lost. He should have lost. He, in my opinion, did lose. And I think we're just so used to seeing Luffy be on the back foot that it's weird to think that we're finally here. But we are finally here. He has to be strong at some point. This series has been going on for 25 years, right? 97? Um, but yeah, like he can't not win here for narrative reasons because everyone would just die, and obviously that's not going to happen. And it's been 25 years. He's allowed to be strong. All right. People say, "Oh, Luffy shouldn't be in any tier list with the Yonko. He shouldn't be there. He's not there yet. He's not ready." He just he skipped rope with an Emperor of the Sea. The man couldn't do anything but let Luffy skip rope with his body. Literally jumping rope. Skipped him. Put him through the earth with a punch. If he's if he's not in the tier list, he'll if he's not on the same tier, he'll never be. If he's not now, he'll never be. And I don't understand why people have this weird obsession to cling to one. Like I understand you don't want it to end, right? One Piece is the journey; it's not the destination, right? Figuratively, obviously, the actual One Piece is not the journey. It is not the friends we made along the way. Trust me. But like the story has to end at some point. And it's weird to literally just want to be stagnant and not see the main character grow. People are actively rooting against Luffy, and it's weird. It's creepy. Like, yeah. I want this literal slaver, arms dealer, and drug manufacturer to win. Even though we've seen him win like 3 times, I still want him to win. I still want him to win. Like, why do you want Luffy to lose so badly? I don't understand. I don't understand. And I guess for some closing thoughts, Kaido, excuse me, Kaido is not, he's not Dofi. He's not even Big Mom in terms of what he is, right? I think that we need more from him in terms of like to flesh him out as like a person, but the role that Kaido plays in the story is not a person. Kaido is a person, but the role that he plays is not that of a person. It is that of a force. It is of a wall. Like literally in this chapter, that's what we got. That's what he confirmed. He is a stopgap for the return of Joy Boy. That is his life's mission. Kaido is a force to overcome. Kaido is not a human being. Both literally and figuratively, he is an Oni, but he's also like not a person to just like, like, oh, what's his backstory this? What's his backstory that? Also, obviously, rocks and all the stuff with rocks is just too important. So you can't get that part of it, like I said earlier. But like he's not meant to be really, I think, delved too deep into, right? He's not a Dofi. And I think Dofi was such a high standard. Don Quixote del Flamingo is the gold standard for One Piece villains. He's just so nuanced. He's so in control that it's weird that the guy above him is less in control and feels like less of a threat, honestly. And I don't really think he feels like less of a threat. He's just that physical threats don't weigh as much in the minds of the people as mental threats, ideological threats, cunning threats. But Kaido is a physical threat. He's a physical threat that they overcame. And people just don't want it to be over. And I do think the ending was a little rushed. Not even rushed. I don't think it was rushed because I think that punch dragged on for it was literally 3 chapters. It was literally 3 chapters. And I can see why that's underwhelming because the punch had no kinetic energy because it was dragged out over 3 chapters. Actually, I think this chapter did a very good job of like showing you the impact. I wish it was like a double page spread. I wish it was a double page spread of the impact. And I think that was lost a little bit because, but like just the sheer speed. Kaido's moving through solid earth like it's air. The force on that attack that's destroying islands. Not just islands. It's literally the size of an island. That's not destroying islands. That's I don't even know. I don't even know. But like Luffy's destructive capabilities are insane. Insane. Top tier. At this point in time, like literally just based on feats. I'm not talking about portrayal, right? Because Shanks is top 1 based on portrayal, in my opinion. But it's either Kaido top 1 or Shanks top 1, and they alternate, right? But we literally haven't seen Shanks fight, so I'm going to take Shanks out of it and put Kaido at top 1. Do I think like lore wise, obviously like Kaido's gonna be top 1 or Luffy is top 1 after this? No, because I'm sure like we're gonna have greater threats, right? That's why we need to get out of Wano. Is because no one wants to see what's happening in Wano anymore. The themes of Wano have been hammered home. They're done. We need to get out of Wano and see what's happening. Because basically that's what's kind of wrong with Wano, right? And that's what's wrong with everything, right? Is Whole Cake was, oh, we're trying to get to Wano, right? We get to Wano after Whole Cake, and we don't appreciate Whole Cake, right? But once Whole Cake is done, we go back and go, oh, dang, actually Whole Cake's pretty good. You know? Love Whole Cake. Whole Cake plays out like an Alice in Wonderland horror movie. Love Whole Cake. We get so much Sanji development, We get to Wano. And unfortunately, what Oda did was give us the world. He gave us so much setup for what's going to happen after Wano during those interlude chapters that all anyone could think about is what happens after Wano. Which is a shame, but now that's all everyone's thinking about. Oh, thank God it's over. What's going on? Right? What's going on with Sabo? What's going on with Blackbeard? Right? Everyone wants to know what's going on with Blackbeard. Because it's like clearly Blackbeard has to be a bigger threat than Kaido. So what's he doing? Is he here? Is he there? Is he there? Is he there? You know? So I think that the way that the story is getting, it's starting to get too big. It's starting to get too big that people are like, okay, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? And it's textbook arc fatigue. And it'll obviously read a lot better on a reread all at once. It will. But we're basically done here. Things are so clearly going to wrap up. I think maybe a little too quickly, but I don't think that's because Oda has more in store for Wano. I think it's because Oda realized, like, I mean, like he said it himself. Wano's gone on way longer than I thought it would, and we're at the point now where it's gotta wrap up. It's gotta wrap up. So, yeah, I thought the chapter was good. Did I think it was amazing? No. But part of that is because I feel like I'm kind of frustrated with a lot of the One Piece community and how everyone thinks that they know everything. And I'm not even saying that I know everything. I'm looking at the page. I'm looking at the page and reading it, and this reads like it's done. This just reads like it's done. I'm fully expecting the like victory title card next chapter. If it doesn't happen, okay, then it doesn't happen, and I'm wrong, right? I'm not going to act like I know what's going to happen, But in my opinion, it just looks so clear that it's done. And I think everything else, why people are saying it's not done, seems like headcanon. Do I think we're gonna get more on Kaido? Yes, but the fight's over. Again, it just seems so headcanony. Because what are the reasons? What are the reasons why people say it's not done? We haven't seen Awakening, right? A, you don't know that. B, you don't know that he has it. Does it make sense logically that he would have some kind of transformation? Yes, but it also makes sense that he would have used it already as well. You know, and in fact, if we're going to put logic into it, logically, what we've seen of Zoan Awakenings are what are Zoan Awakenings. The Jailer Beasts, that's it. So if you say logically he should have done this, logically you should think like this. You know, there's been no tension in this arc, so he's got to wake back up. There's been a time clock in terms of the fire, in terms of the capital falling, all that. That's been resolved. He didn't show everyone Luffy's dead body. Excuse me. He literally came down, like we haven't seen anyone's reaction to Luffy's loss. He came down and said, he came down to the live floor, which is the exact place that people said that he was going to go to show people Luffy's dead body. He came down to the live floor and said, Straw Hat Luffy is dead. And we saw everyone's reactions to that. So we've already gotten that. Oh, the citizens didn't see it. I explained earlier why that doesn't matter. It's happened before. There's precedent for like whatever country's being saved. The citizens not seeing Luffy beat the villain. It just all seems very done. It seems done, and I don't understand people saying that it's not done. I really don't. It's just like you're not reading the story. Sorry, my thoughts are scattered. Again, I wanted to get down my thoughts. I'm pretty frustrated with the community. I think I might take a step back from just engaging in so many discussions because I've engaged in so many discussions. I saw a post on Reddit that said like I'm taking a step back from like One Piece as like a topic of discussion with a lot of people on the internet. Just talking to my friends about it, that's fine, but people on the internet because I miss the days when I didn't know everyone's opinions on it because you end up formulating your own, and I think a lot of people have just latched on to other people's opinions and just taken it from there and made up their mind and gone, this is what should happen. So if this doesn't happen, it's trash. Or if this doesn't happen, then it's not over. I think people lack the ability to think for themselves. They lack basic reading comprehension. They're just piggybacking off other people's points. So, and I mean, you know what? If you think that it's not done, and if it's not done, my words are eaten. My words are absolutely eaten. I'm completely fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. You know, I'm not infallible. I'm not a god. You know, I'm not Morge or whatever. It's wrong. It's wrong, right? And even Morge said he called it. He said it. Next two chapters. If the next two chapters happen, if 1051 happens, and we don't get more Kaido flashback, the raid has succeeded. He said it, and he said he'll fully admit that he's wrong. So, you know, if champion of the people, Morge, will admit it, you know, why can't anyone else? You know, does he think he's wrong? No, but we'll see, I guess. Anyway, thanks for listening. I love y'all. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. This will probably be the format for the rest of my videos. It's just, you know, whenever I think I have something to say and it needs to spill out, then, you know, it'll spill out. Again, thanks. Again, it's your boy Trev. Like and subscribe. Peace.